Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Cesar Rivas, National Sales Executive for Sound Payments, and I actually lead the Sound POS line when it comes to the demos. And I've got 1 p.m. Eastern time on the dot right now. Maybe give it a few more seconds, a minute or so for those of you that are running to join. Thank you again for joining me today. This is our regular monthly workshop, which I offer last Wednesday of every month at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and try to highlight different types of retailers that would benefit from utilizing our Sound POS solution, as well as highlighting different features that our solution has to offer. Just to talk to, for those of you who've never participated in these workshops, it's a half hour long, okay? The first 15 minutes is really where I focus around discussing that retailer and highlighting those new features and how they work and so forth, try to give you some examples. And then the second 15 minutes is pretty much what I would say my condensed sales pitch or sales approach. Okay, so this is really meant, again, for you agents, ISOs, resellers out there. It's not really meant so much for the merchants themselves. We do record these workshops, so they're available on our YouTube channel. Go to Sound Payments, and you'll be able to find them there. And again, if you've been through any of these workshops, you know that you really only need to participate for the first 15 minutes. You've got my email address on the screen right now, cesar.r@soundpayments.com. Please feel free to shoot any emails, any questions you may have my way. I'll try to respond as quickly as possible. All right, so the premise of our solution is really that we empower you, the reseller or the agent or the ISO, as well as the merchant, because you're able to customize and really do a lot of things on your own. You don't have to rely on us as a vendor to do many of these things. And today we're going to be talking about a garment store. So these could be things like a boutique, for example. It could be high-end, could be something a little more modern day, a boutique type of situation. It could also be a thrift store. And again, because our Sound POS solution offers the ability to customize to a very detailed level, it's a great application for this type of a setting. I mean, there's some things that these type of establishments need, things like the ability to track inventory in different ways. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about. You don't just track inventory by the item, but you can also track inventory by size or by color if you need to. Also, our POS does have a loyalty program, loyalty points program built in. So especially for this type of a store, to kind of reward your loyal clients. It's also able to establish credit accounts by the customer file. So you can even provide credit to your customers or utilize that as a layaway function. And of course, you have the ability to create discounts, sales in different ways, and even the ability to add inventory on a spot. Something comes up that was not on the system, and you want to charge for it. There's no need to, a lengthy process where you would need to go into the inventory and so forth. All right. So again, really feel that this is a strong solution, viable solution for the different variety of garment stores that may be out there. All right. So today, in terms of features, we're going to be talking about attributes. And let me kind of switch screens over here so you can see what your attribute screens should look like here. Oh, sorry. Here we go. All right. So we're going to be looking at this store today called Susie's Boutique. Here we go. Let me log in. So what is an attribute? An attribute should be, and you'll find that under the catalog section here, your product attributes. An attribute should be a unique modifier for an item. So something like a size, for example, it can only be, small, medium, or large, or maybe something like a color. So I've got different kinds of attributes here, and we're going to be working with 2 products today. We're going to be working with a Reebok, a tee, exercise T, and it's going to have 3 attributes here, which you see them listed: large, medium, and small. So we're going to do the color with a T. And then you've got also socks that we're going to be working on, which should be all the way here at the end. And we've got colors as far as the attributes for the socks: blue, red, and white. I've got some other attributes for other functions, but today we're just going to be focusing on those 2 products in particular. And we're going to be utilizing these attributes to really differentiate, let's say, the inventory based on those features, either the color or the size. So it's very easy to create an attribute. I'm just going to walk through one real quick under the screen. Again, the product attribute screen. Just kind of click on add, and you can put, the name and so forth. That's all you need to create the attribute, nothing else. Once you create the attribute, though, it's really at the product level that you're gonna work the attribute, and I'll show you in a second. All right. Now, you also need to create some attribute combinations, and you'll see that within the product itself. So let's go ahead and take a look at the products, the 2 that we're using with these attributes. First, we're going to take a look at the Reebok Exercise Tee. All right. So when you go within the product, you've got, all your information on the left, the description, the cost on the bottom left. And on the top right is where you select how you're going to track inventory. So in this case, we're saying, hey, we want to utilize the attributes for this Reebok Exercise Tee. We don't want to use, the actual item. So how do we do that? All right. So we go into product attributes. And of course, we add those 3 attributes, the 3 sizes. We don't say that they're required, okay, because then it'll upload. But once you create the actual attribute, you have to create a value for that attribute. So if you see for each one of these, you've got 1 value. I'm not changing the cost, which you could also utilize the attributes to change the cost. But in this case, we're not going to do any of that. We're not going to pre-select it. Okay. And once you've actually created those values, then you can create the attribute combinations. Okay. And this is where you're actually going to input your stock quantity. So this is what it would look like when you create your combinations here. Let me actually add a combination. So you've got the values listed here. If I hadn't created the values, I would not be able to choose one of these. Now we're not going to create a combination because all 3 of the combinations are there, but this is where you would input the stock amount. And also our system has the ability to alert the merchant as far as the low stock quantities. So you can establish the threshold here where you would want that alert to be triggered. Okay, and once you fill that out, then you go ahead and close it out. So why would we utilize this? There may be cases where the item has the same SKU number regardless of the color, or the same SKU number regardless of the size. Okay, so we looked at the Reebok Exercise Tee. Let's take a look at the socks. The same thing, you got kind of the same information here. We are keeping track by the attributes. You look at the attributes, you've got the colors here. I've created the values, of course, for each color. Okay. And then of course we created the combinations here. You've got your blue, your red, and your white. Okay. So once you've got that done, of course, you're going to sync it over to the terminal. And actually what we're going to do now is let's go ahead and switch over to the terminal. Let's see here. We're going to go to my terminal management. I'm going to choose the A920, which is what I'm using today. Okay, to run that. And we're going to go ahead and choose the Air Viewer so I can share my screen with you. All right, I'm already logged in to that store. Okay, I just need to go ahead and agree to the remote connection here, and then I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it a bit clearer. I just want to point out a couple of things also. So let me zoom in, get it to 150 here. Okay, and so you have a good screen. So we go to the sales screen, and we're going to look for these 2 items. Okay, the Reebok shirt is listed under your shirts, of course, and you'll see it here in a second. So it's the first one at the top, and you can't really see that clearly here, but you'll see that it says 106. So that's the total of all the sizes. But if you select the actual shirt, and then here's where you get the 3 sizes, and you select one of the sizes, it's going to give you the inventory amount for that specific item. So for the large Reebok shirt, you got 35 items in stock. If you go to the medium, then you've got 33, right? That's 88. And then if you go to the small, you got 38, so that's 106. So in this case, let's go ahead and buy a small one. I'll submit. Okay. Now it's still going to read 106 because we haven't paid for it, obviously. But if you look at the shopping cart, and wait, this should be actually. Let me zoom out. Yeah, I zoomed in a little too much. So if we look at the shopping cart here, all right. So we've got the actual shirt, small Reebok. All right. Now we're going to go back and just to give you one more example here. We want to go ahead and show you how you can track inventory by color. So the socks are not under the shirt category. Obviously, I choose none. All right. And you see it has 72 socks in there listed. But when I click on the actual sock, then if you go to the blue ones, it tells me, okay, you've got 25 of those. If I go to the red, it tells me you've got 20 of those. If I go to the white, then it tells me you've got 27 of those. So let's go ahead and purchase a pair of the white socks. Here we go. So now when we go to the cart, you see that we've got both of these. So you go back here and it still shows, again, 72 pairs of socks and 106, give me 1 second while that comes up, 106 of the Reebok tees. But if I go ahead and go to pay, okay, in this case, I'm just going to choose cash. I don't have my fake card here. Just say pay. Okay, I finished paying here. And now you're going to see, no, I don't want the receipt. Okay. Now you see that it changed to 105 for the shirts. And now you got 71 of the socks. Okay. So that's pretty much, again, how it works. As I said, you can also do pricing changes based on the attribute. But it's a little bit different than modifiers because modifiers, you can have multiple things added at once, like toppings and things like that. While the attributes, you should be really choosing only one of the items if it's a differentiator. Okay. All right. So with that, really, I know it's only 12 minutes after, but kind of covered the topic about attributes. So I want to go ahead and switch over to what would be the rest of the presentations. As I said, if you've already seen this presentation before, it's a quick kind of condensed way of demonstrating the POS and its features. If you haven't seen it, I welcome you to stay on. If not, you can drop off. And then again, you can go back to the Sound Payments YouTube channel to see any previous workshops. All right. So first and foremost, again, want to reiterate, thank you for being with me today. My name is Cesar Rivas, and I am the National Sales Executive for Sound Payments, and I lead the sales team along with my manager, Cesar Carrasco, for Sound POS. If you haven't heard about who we are, Sound Payments, always like to start off with highlighting the fact that we're not an ISO, a gateway, or a processor, meaning that we like to provide you with a solution that you take to the merchants. We don't have any direct relationship with merchants themselves. We always work through agents, ISOs, and resellers. All right. We like to offer both value and innovation. So, our solutions will definitely, provide you with the latest technology, but it'll be at a fair value. Okay, we're located out of Jacksonville, Florida. We do have another office in St. Pete. We work with another line of business, which is on the petro side. And we do have a couple of offices abroad where we do R&D and some of the development. Primarily when it comes to hardware, yes, we work with PACs, but we do have other technology partners like CDE and so forth. Our POS is a cloud-based POS, meaning that you've got backup on the cloud and so forth. As I mentioned, it is fully customizable, various industries, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But I always like to highlight the fact that it is not meant for a full service restaurant. Even though you'll see we do service some of the food industry in some form or another, not for a full service restaurant because it doesn't have a reservations module. It does not have the ability to lay out the dining room. And it does not have the ability to run tabs and verify the validity of a card. Always like to highlight these features that are listed on here: inventory and the ability to track inventory various ways or not track inventory. Also, the ability to upload the inventory through an Excel spreadsheet. Now, we don't do it, us, the vendor, Sound Payments, we don't do it for you or for your merchant. But we give you and your merchant the tools to go ahead and upload it yourselves. We give you the template. We give you the template with sample data, and we give you resources that are available to also learn how to do that. In terms of employees, it allows you to customize the degree of access that each employee has. So you don't want somebody to have access to the inventory or to the sales. It's extremely customizable, very detailed. It also does provide with the ability to track clock in, clock out, employee work hours. It doesn't calculate your payroll for you, but you can export the number of hours worked in any time frame that you'd like. It's customizable in an Excel spreadsheet, and Excel is usually compatible with almost any payment or payroll processing software that's out there. It has a really strong feature also when it comes to the customer's functionality. Not only can you track information for the customer, all the personal information, apply specific discounts, programs, even store a picture of them because all terminals come with cameras. It also has two features that are built in. One, a customer credit account, where the merchant can create accounts and provide credit for each customer, and they can be utilized in different ways, even layaway, because it allows partial payments to whatever outstanding balance there is. And it also has a loyalty points program that's built into the customer feature, and the merchant is able to customize the ratio of how many points are generated per dollar and how many points are necessary for purchases. It also allows you to customize your sales tax. We create a limitless number of sales tax categories that you can apply, and you actually assign the tax by product, so it's extremely customizable there. As I mentioned, because it is cloud-based, you have the ability to synchronize to the cloud. It has various advantages. First and foremost, if a terminal goes down, all you do is just replace a new one and it'll download all the data. Also, if you've got multiple terminals, whether it's at the same location or multiple locations, and they need to share information such as inventory or pricing, that all happens automatically. You have a broad range of reports, both on the terminals, but also on the web portal. And that's actually the final point there. It does come with a web portal, which the merchant can access from his computer or their computer, from their tablet or their cell phone. Web-based, again, so it uses a browser. I always recommend on the cell phone to utilize Microsoft Edge. I feel it works best in landscape mode. But you've got different reports that are going to be available on the terminal, and then different reports that are going to be available on the web portal. The reports on the web portal can be exported in Excel format. They can also be exported in PDF if you want to send a CPA or something like that. And then, of course, the reports that are on the terminal, they print on the thermal printer, little ribbon thermal printer. So those are a little bit more simplified, so to speak. Because again, we're not a processor. We're pretty much certified with all major U.S. payment processors. So we're processor agnostic pretty much. The merchant is going to be able to remotely monitor their transactions as they're happening. And because, again, all of these terminals are cloud-based, you can add new services really without disrupting the functionality of the terminal. I wanted to show you kind of some of the screenshots here. On the left-hand side, you see the screenshots for the terminals themselves. We've got different models. So depending on the model that you have, you may have a portrait layout like the one on the top, and that's like for the A920 or the E600 packs. Or you may have a landscape layout like the one on the bottom with the E500, 700, and 800. And then on the right-hand side, I just want to show you a screenshot of the dashboard or the landing page for the web portal. The one on the top is a screenshot on a computer, and the one on the bottom is a screenshot on a cell phone. So you can see the difference. All of our terminals that we work with PAX, they've got battery life. They've got batteries, but just a clarification for the ones that are countertop that are not meant to be portable, the battery will last 10 or 15 minutes only, and it's meant more than anything for a power outage, so you don't lose a transaction. For the ones that are portable, the A920 or the E600, those do have like a couple of hours of battery life because they're meant for that. You can utilize the cameras that are on the terminals for scanning barcodes. It's a little quirky. You need good lighting. It'll give you like a crosshair for you to point at the actual term, at the actual barcode. So I always recommend utilizing, the laser one. All the countertops are compatible with USB or a Bluetooth-based scanners. And then, the portable ones, well, the E600, it does have a base for you to add also USB items. And the A920, actually, there's a model that's the A920 Pro Scan. It comes with a built-in laser scanner, so you can use that. They can connect in various ways, through the Wi-Fi, Ethernet, with the exception of the A920. It doesn't have an Ethernet port, of course. And you can also connect them via SIM card as well. Okay. All of them have dual terminal screens, with the exception of the A920, which is it's portable and it's like palm sized. And the advantage there, of course, you don't have to be flipping around the screen for the customer. The customer will see the order being rung up as it's being rung up, and then they'll do all the transaction with the screen that's facing them. Kind of an overview of the different industry or applications. As I mentioned, in the food industry, it does work with, again, things like quick serve, sub shop, pizza, fast food, of course, food trucks. It's great because you can also assign multiple printers. These are network printers, so they're not attached to the terminal itself, they're just attached to the network. So, if you have a food truck and you got an area where they prepare the food versus they ring it up, then it's great because it'll actually, per food item, you can choose which items go to which printer. And then it also works with storefront, things like butcher, ice cream parlor, etc. Now, we always get this question. You cannot integrate a digital scale to our POS system. So you would have to, you can register on the actual product categories, or catalogs rather. You can register, this item costs this much by whatever ounce, pound. You can choose the unit, doesn't really make a difference. And then whenever, they ring it up, they actually have to input what the weight is. And you can even utilize other metric units, such as, or other weighted units or measured units, I should say, inches, feet, whatever that may be. All right. On the retail side, what we're looking at today, garments like boutiques, thrift stores, and things like that. You can do grocery stores, and again, I emphasize mini marts, bodegas, small grocers, because our terminals all have the POS and the payment device all built into one. So it would not work on a checkout lane where you've got the cash register in one position and then you've got a payment terminal that's completely separate. Yeah, it would not work in that setting. But for something smaller where, the customer is right there where the clerk is and they're ringing it up, like a convenience store and things like that, that will work. And it does work with other retailers like hardware, tires, and I mentioned a slew of other items there. Because as I said, you can really customize it to a very basic level. If it's more of a service type of business rather than a retail product sale type of business, you can customize the product as well to really fit that need. It also comes with additional resources. We do offer with our service, it's already built in 24/7 merchant support. So, you as a reseller or the agent or the ISO, you don't have to provide support for the merchant once they're set up, and anything happens, they'll have a 1-800 number that's available 24/7. We also have another resource that's called Sound Hub, and that's really more available to you, not to the customer. But there are some of the components in that Sound Hub resource that you can download and provide to the customer, such as a user guide or manuals and things like that. We provide, again, any firmware updates or app updates. They're done very easily because all of our terminals are cloud-based. And then of course, we have advanced level support for you, the reseller, and also for the merchant. I mean, if it's something that level 1 cannot resolve, it'll automatically be escalated and be sent over to level 2 support, and they'll receive a resolution there. And then I can say we've got an extremely experienced implementation team. The way that it works, if you haven't worked with us before, we sign you up. We'll go ahead and help you implement the first couple of merchants and provide you with a video on how to do that. And then from that point forward, like you said, our premise is we empower you so that you can continue working from that point forward. All right. So with that, again, want to thank everybody who chimed in. I don't see any questions right now. We'll have a couple of more before the end of the year. Again, the last Wednesdays of each month. I know that I think November lands before Thanksgiving, but we want to kind of maintain, the same date. So we're still going to do that on Wednesday before then. You've got my information on the screen. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email. Yeah, you've got our website on the screen as well. If you want to look around. And again, if you do want to take a look at our previous sessions, you can just go to our YouTube channel, Sound Payments. We've got a question whether we're certified with TSYS. Yes, we're certified with TSYS, First Data, APX, like I said, all major processors, okay? Because basically what we're doing is we're using the PAC certification since, we developed the POS side, but the payment side is still fully PAC, so they're PCI compliant and all that stuff, all right? All right, so with that, we don't have any other questions. Thank you so much for joining again, and hopefully I'll catch you next month.